It all started with a young man that wanted to use the new craw's bow at the Revenant Caves. He had dreams of killing Revenants for massive loot per hour and absolutely destroying all the noobs there and flexing his massive bow. However, PKers had different ideas in mind, and that was not to be the case today. Instead, the young man fled to do what he does best. So why not? Let's just grab the chainmace as well right now. Should insta-buy. There we go. Charge that bad Larry, and looking at us now, we got both the new weapons. This one coming in at 380 and this one at 250. Now, the stats on them obviously aren't great. If you guys watched the last video, you'll know. Now, the stats on them obviously aren't great, but they have a bonus boost in the Wildy of 50%, so that's what makes them really, really good. Also, with this bow, you actually don't need any ammo. The ether is the ammo, so that makes it really nice as far as just a cheap way of going about doing this. But yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and load them both up with 4K charges and go try some Wilderness Slayer. Now, the first task that I have that I actually got, which is going to be for some really nice rates as we can see, is Hellhounds. I have 109 and I have to kill them in the wilderness, so I'm ready to do that. I'll be doing every task half with bow, half with the mace, and changing up my setup obviously as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start off with the ranging setup, and obviously I'll be using potions as well. Is something of note that I think more people start to use for Slayer task and whatnot. It was really designed for that, but a lot of the cave didn't have many uses before this update. Now should be a little bit more of a hotspot. Forgot that this was an added benefit of doing Wildy Slayer. Also getting some mysterious emblems, starting off with our first one, only like 10 kills in. Obviously I'll keep track of how many of those I get, but should be doing pretty alright. I actually had to teleport from some PKers. Interesting. Alright, well, I did a little over half the task actually, and basically where I was able to average out at, it won't show here because I had to get my recorder up and it crashed. And yeah, I was averaging about 135k range XP along with 35k Slayer XP and about 45k HP XP. Some pretty good rates there. Now I'm going to go ahead and see what I can get with the melee version of this. Also got 2 mysterious emblems, which was pretty nice. And so there we are at the end of that Hellhounds task. I was able to average about 118k defense XP per hour, along with about 27k Slayer XP. Pretty good rates overall, I'd say. Very comparable to what you can get with range, and I'd say that melee is probably a little bit better to do just because melee XP is hard to get that XP typically. So let's try another task here. 75, what a task. What a task. Oh my gosh. I haven't done much Wildy Slayer, I'll be honest with you guys. From the listing of it, I don't know what the weightings are. It just looks rough, so maybe in practice it isn't actually that bad. Moving on over to the wiki, we can actually go through some of the rates of points that you get per task. As you guys can see here, after you complete the 5th task, which I have yet to do, you'll get 25, and then every milestone of task after that is just a really significant bonus. That's another thing about Wildy Slayer is you do get a lot of passive points, and this allows for you to be able to skip almost 1.5 tasks per task that you do. Because the points per task comes to an average of 40 to 45, that means you'll just have a mass amount of skips to be able to use. Now you may be saying, well, I'll be using those skips on Wildy Slayer because I will get a ton of bad tasks. And you'd be partially right. So looking down here at the task weights, we can see that some of the more, I guess, coveted monsters are having higher task weights, which is nice. All the bosses, more of the regular Slayer type items that you would see normally. Black Demons, Fire Giants, Hellhounds, all of that. Now once you get towards the bottom where there's a lot more lower weighted stuff, there are some bad ones. Ents, rogues, skeletons, obviously not that great, but you have to remember you get a skip and a half per task that you do. Ultimately, I went through and looked at which ones of these I thought were worth doing, and I found that 18 of these tasks are worth doing, most of the higher weighted ones, especially bosses and stuff like that, because you're making money. And I found that the weighting of those 18 tasks was 123 total points, and that was out of a total of 215. So I should be getting a task worth doing 55% of the time, which means I'll be making more than enough points back to be able to pay off for the tasks that I skipped. So for this task in particular, I actually will use prayer. For most of them, I will not. However, for this one, whenever I start up a dragon strip, I'm already at 86 prayer, so I may as well use it. And then along with that, just to avoid some PKers, I bring a couple brews and a restore anyway, so I figure I may as well use the restore. So real quick point of emphasis here, I've tested the flail already here, but not on task. On task, even more so, it is just disgusting. Like, as someone who killed green dragons as a low level, just coming here now and then killing them as fast as I do, it just doesn't feel right. There's something about it, like just hitting a 60 on a green dragon. It obviously is insane and it's quite a lot of fun. And honestly, as a money-making method, I've already tested this out off of Slayer Task with the flail, and you can make about 1.1 mil an hour, which, if you know anything about green dragons, is pretty good for what it is nowadays. But yeah, one thing I did actually forget to do was bring a stamina. That's another thing with these weapons. You often kill stuff so quick that you just have to be running around. I found myself doing the same thing at Rev Caves. Like, honestly, it's just, the DPS isn't even the problem, it's just how fast stuff respawns and how quick you can get your loot. So now for killing green dragons with the chainmace, I was actually able to average out at about 85k XP per hour for defense. That left me at about 22k XP per hour in Slayer. And all in all, that comes out to about 270 green dragon kills every hour, given that each kill gets us about 4.2k GP. Yep, just a little over 1.1 mil per hour in profit. Next up, using the craw's bow at green dragons, I was able to find that you could average out to about 85k range XP per hour. Along with that, a little over 20k Slayer XP, so ultimately very close rates to what you could get with the flail, and I think that's what we're going to notice throughout a lot of this episode. Let's grab ourselves another assignment though and see what we can get now. 114 ice giants. That obviously is going to be a little bit more worse of a task. I thought I was getting a little too lucky with them. So now finishing off that ice giants task, it was a task I actually thought was going to be pretty bad. I did get one mysterious emblem and I'm now up to 5 total. Even though they're not the greatest monster to kill, when I was using the bow, I was still able to average what was 115k XP per hour. In addition to that, I got close to 29k Slayer XP. And then melee kind of did take a dip here. I was only getting about 100k defense XP an hour and 25k Slayer XP. I think that's a little bit more to do with how low HP these monsters have and how much I have to run around and kill them with melee, while with the bow I'm just standing there shooting. So, from what I can tell so far, it seems like the bow is a lot better for some of the monsters that are a little bit more tedious to kill, and whenever the monster is relatively high level, they seem to be pretty comparable. Going in for another task, here we have the Kaos Fanatic, and actually I'm so excited to try this. So we're going to go and run the bow out here, and I'm just going to do 35 kills straight with the bow and see what kind, I mean honestly, I'm having a ton of fun with the Wildy Slayer task. I don't know, doing 96 levels of normal Slayer and yeah, like 95 on another account and 80 on another. It's kind of nice to mix it up every now and then. First kill here, like what? I also got a dragon spear when I was on my last ice giants task. I don't know what's going on right now, but I think this is a sign that I'm gonna get smited for this bow at some point. That's my feeling. So I just got another task. I didn't record it because, well, I thought I was, but 147 fire giants is what I'm going with now. As far as what I was able to get for the Kaos Fanatic task, I ended averaging close to 60k range XP and 30k Slayer XP. Now the reason the Slayer XP is so high compared to the range is because of the boss task bonus that you get. I personally was not hopping world to world in between kills. If you do that, it speeds us up dramatically and you can boost all those rates by 50%. So your range would be 90k an hour and your Slayer would be 45k an hour. Obviously a pretty short task, but it is one that you're getting boss kills on and also having a pet chance. So now I'm going to go and test out the fire giants. Probably going to be a lot like what I saw in the Hellhounds task. Obviously worth it to give it a go. So ending off at fire giants, I found that the rates for the bow was 130k range XP and 33k Slayer XP, while the rates for the chainmace was 110k defense XP and 26k Slayer XP. What we found here, as well with most of the other tests, is that the bow is going to be better in almost every scenario, but they're pretty comparable, and range training can come through a lot of different forms, while for the most part, melee training comes through Slayer. So, ultimately, it's personal preference and which weapon you want to go ahead and get yourself for the Slayer task, but I really do see it as a viable alternative to Slayer, and one that I actually kind of look forward to doing. So with that is going to be it for me this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. From what I can tell, obviously it's looking like these weapons are going to be viable for Wilderness Slayer going forward. While they may be expensive right now, in the future they should drop in price to the point to where they're more accessible to the average player. And at that point then it may start to really become a thing where people are just doing Wilderness Slayer because it's a little bit more enjoyable, somewhat laid back. I understand you're in the wilderness, but most of these spots you don't even have to fight for monsters, which is also really nice. And you may see a PKer like every, couple hours depending on where you're at. Some spots are really desolate. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. If there's anything you want to tell me, anywhere you want me to test these weapons at, let me know down below. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe for more. But yeah, I gotta go. Bye. These things are dropping quick and I gotta sell them. Yep, I lost 13 mil on the chainmace and 35 mil on the bow. Luckily, your boy was smart enough to be able to flip it ahead of time and make all that money back, though.